When we first started the show, I thought it was going to be about building cars and bikes, for it turned into a show about people and their tales. Fans can't believe what Danny Coker and Ryan Evans from Counting Cars said now that they've finally broken their silence. People who used to think they knew everything about the popular show are now wondering if they ever really knew what went on behind the scenes. Not only are the findings shocking, they change everything. Taking back the curtain on secrets that not even the most devoted fans saw coming. Was it a secret battle, a shocking outcome, or a secret about the cars and the business itself? People are arguing a lot online about the answers they finally gave, which has surprised both haters and longtime fans. In front of the cameras, rare cars and well-known repairs at Count's Customs caught the eye of collectors, fans, and people who just wanted to look. Danny "Count" Coker, the owner and a well-known face of the shop, had built a name for himself through accuracy, charm, and an unwavering love for old cars. Ryan Evans, the lead painter and graphic artist, worked with him to make his ideas come to life, adding bold patterns and personal touches to every job. They worked together to make a team that not only fixed up cars but also turned them into works of live art. The way that Count's Customs worked every day was anything but normal. While running a busy restoration business and filming a TV show, there were long hours, tight deadlines, and steady pressure to do a great job on and off camera. Danny had to deal with what clients wanted, manage his team, and make sure that every restoration met the high standards his brand had set. He also had to keep the cameras rolling for people across the country. While this was going on, Ryan had to keep his creativity consistent and his technique spot on. He often had to work quickly on difficult paint jobs that would have been hard for even the most experienced artists. Fans saw the finished product on TV and often liked how drastically it changed and how it was customized to the max. But things were more complicated behind the scenes. Things didn't always go well with projects. Schedules didn't work well together, things had to be found quickly, and problems came up out of the blue and had to be fixed right away. Being a businessman and a TV personality at the same time was hard for Danny and required steady attention. Ryan had to balance the artistic side of repairs with the production needs of the show. He had to make sure that the creative vision wasn't harmed by the camera crew schedules or pre-written plots. Even though there were problems, Count's Customs kept their image for being well-made and creative. Danny knew a lot about old cars and how they worked, and Ryan was good at painting and designing. Together, they worked wonders that drew customers from all over the country. Each job, from old Mustangs to rare motorcycles, was a test of teamwork and skill. But the stress of running a famous business while being watched by millions of people on TV were always there, and the strains were starting to show even though fans couldn't see them. Danny and Ryan's relationship was a big part of the shop's success. Danny's experience and direction gave the team structure, and Ryan's creativity and attention to detail made sure that every car that left the shop was not only fixed up, but completely changed. Their working relationship was based on mutual respect, but the pressures of fame, business, and being filmed all the time produced a tension that only people inside the shop could fully understand. People who watched the show thought it was funny and easy to forget how hard it is to run a big repair business in public. There were times when the forces seemed to come together in ways that the cameras missed. A late delivery, a disagreement with a client, or an unexpected mechanical failure could send shockwaves through the shop, affecting both deadlines and Danny often had to make quick choices to keep projects on track, while Ryan would change his artistic plans to fit the needs of the business. The people watching couldn't see these behind-the-scenes tasks, but they were necessary to keep Count's image for good manners. There were signs of the problems that were to come even in the early days of the show. There were strict shooting schedules, high expectations from clients, and a public thirst for drama, which made for an exciting and tiring work environment. Danny and Ryan knew that keeping their standards high would require them to be alert and flexible. To make sure that nothing fell through the cracks, they often worked past their normal work hours. Even though fans liked the show, Count's Customs was a high-stakes business that required focus, dedication, and toughness. As the cameras rolled and fans watched each restoration, pressures that weren't always clear on screen took over more and more of life at Count's traditions. Danny started to feel a lot of stress from having to run a well-known business and a national TV show at the same time. Keeping up with filming schedules and running the shop on a daily basis needed constant attention and a lot of responsibility. Every job that came into the shop had to be carefully watched, from old Mustangs to rare European cars. Any mistake could lead to delays that cost a lot of money, unhappy customers, or problems with production. Danny's desire for success cost him in a personal way. The worry of dealing with several high-stakes problems caused me to lose 35 pounds in just a few months. His friends and co-workers noticed that he looked more and more tired, and he missed some family events because he had to meet so many targets. Fans saw someone who was full of life on TV. But Danny was dealing with a complicated web of business, media, and legal issues behind the scenes that not many people could understand. The legal demands were especially strong. Count's Customs was sued several times, and some of the clients said they were overcharged or that the repairs were not finished. One well-known disagreement was about the promised restoration of a 1967 Ford Mustang. There was reportedly a $50,000 disagreement over delivery and project completion. In another case, there were problems within the company. For example, an employee was accused of stealing money from the shop and using it to buy expensive things. Legal fees piled up from all of these cases and are said to have exceeded $1 million, putting more stress on both Danny and the business. Along with legal fights, the stress was made worse by the realities of production. Danny was angry in public about what he saw as drama being staged for the cameras. There were times when planned issues didn't match up with how the shop really worked, which caused problems between him and the producers. At one point, Danny even left the set, which slowed down shooting and showed how hard it is to balance the need for authenticity with the need for entertainment. While the show loved dramatic moments for TV, Danny and the rest of the team often had problems because they felt like they had to act on screen while also running the real business. Even though Ryan's view was a little different, it was still open to criticism. Being the lead painter and graphic artist meant that he had to turn big ideas into real works that met strict standards. It took a lot of time and money to fix his mistakes, and his work often had to stand up to close scrutiny from clients, fans, and production teams. But Ryan was also affected by false stories that were going around the shop. Such as false stories that connected him to legal problems he had nothing to do with. Being misrepresented in public caused stress and confusion that went beyond work issues, even if the person wasn't directly involved in a dispute. All of these stresses had an effect on mood in the shop. The people working on the projects knew that they had bigger goals than the public could see, and the fast pace of production sometimes made it hard to balance creativity with practicality. Danny and Ryan had to keep track of not only the work, but also their team's mental and emotional health. Making choices about when to meet deadlines, who to assign tasks to, and how to keep quality high needed constant attention, and the weight of responsibility never let up. Danny and Ryan kept going even though these problems came up. Even when rumors, lawsuits, and production stress made things uncertain, they stayed true to Count's traditions and image. They knew that most people didn't see what was going on behind the scenes. The easy changes, the shocking reveals, and the chit-chat on set, but in real life there was a lot of planning, delicate client relationships, and constant problem-solving under pressure. Illusions and a lot of talk in the media. As Counting Cars episodes ran and fans watched every restoration, the line between what was real and what was imagined started to get fuzzy. People outside of Count's Customs often didn't understand what was going on behind the scenes, even though Danny and Ryan worked hard there. For Ryan, the uncertainty was especially bad because of a case of mistaken identity that would be talked about in the news for years. Joseph Frontiera, a past worker, was accused of stealing money from Count's Customs, which led to the problem. He is said to have used company money for personal things like trips and expensive items, which caused the shop a lot of money problems. Legal papers and news stories about the theft pointed out it, but sometimes the photos of Ryan were used instead of Joseph's. This small mistake caused a chain reaction that made many people think Ryan had done something wrong, which was not at all like that. Media distortions led to wild speculation. There were a lot of rumors going around on online forums, social media posts, and comment parts. Fans couldn't agree on whether Ryan had quit, been fired, or even done something wrong. No matter how false, every rumor spread because it seemed to fit with the show's rare on-screen drama. The right conditions for spreading false information were present when a well-known business was shown on TV and people were interested in scandals. While this was going on, Danny was having his own problems, but he was very aware of how these rumors could hurt the team's image. Count's Customs was a small, close-knit business, and Ryan's painting, graphic design, and repair work was very important to its success. It was annoying to think that mistakes in the media could hurt Ryan's reputation and, by extension, the business as a whole. Danny had to think about when to speak out in public and when to focus on the shop. He knew that anything he said could become a news story. The fans' comments told us a lot. Many people didn't understand why Ryan skipped season 10. All of a sudden. Some people thought he had left the shop on his own. Others thought he might have been fired, and still others believed the story about the mistaken name. In fact, things were much easier. Ryan stayed true to Count's traditions and kept working behind the scenes even after the show finished quietly because of problems with production. Even so, the story of the departure and scandal kept going, helped along by mistakes and incomplete reports in the media. The cancellation of the show made things even more complicated. The lack of public reports caused a void after the 10th season of Counting Cars ended in late 2021. Fans were used to seeing Danny, Ryan, and the rest of the team on TV, so they didn't know much about what was going on behind the scenes. Due to the lack of information, rumors spread quickly, and the mistaken identity event became the basis for many false theories that were shared online. Even though reports were going around, people who knew Count's customs knew the truth. No one questioned Ryan's skill, loyalty, or work ethic, and his friendship with Danny stayed strong. They had been through a lot together, from high-stakes restorations to production stresses and the embez.